Hello all, Jamie Rogers here today for Craftmania, introducing you to some of my stencils and some of my favourite techniques in which you can be doing with them. Now of course no Craftmania video is complete without some special offers, so we do have a few tempting treats for you. We're going to be looking at, to begin with, the 4 stencils, then I'll talk to you about our stamps, and then I'll tell you about our bundle to save even more money and buy all of them. Now our stencils, the recommended retail price on these is £6.99, but you can buy these for only £5.94 at the moment as they're on offer. Now with each set of stencils, what you might not twig straight away is that you actually receive 3 different size stencils in here. Now I really wanted this so that you've got the opportunity to do gatefold cards, solid background cards, decorative strips to go on your cards, or stopper elements, or to decorate your envelopes, or to patchwork them into bigger projects for scrapbook albums and bits like that. Basically, I wanted you to have as much freedom as you could possibly have with stencils, all on a matching design, giving you more creative options. So in here you've got your 3 different size pieces. Now this is our sunflower bouquet. Now I've gone ahead and I've embossed them onto some gold mirror card, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that in just a moment. But it's something else I really think is important to remember when we talk about my favourite stencil techniques, is that you can emboss any stencil in your die cutting machines if you've got a rubber mat or a tan mat or a foam mat that goes through your machine. That's going to give you the ability to do this. So not only are we talking about stencils and giving you the 3 options of those for £5.94, we're also giving you the option to actually use them as embossing as well, which to me always makes stencils seem like a really good investment. So that was our sunflower bouquet set. We then have our dancing dandelions. So again, with this trio of stencils, we have 3 different size panels, giving you this complete dandelion sort of effect across all of them. I would like to say this one's probably my favourite, but I genuinely, before we were setting up the video, I was trying to think of truthfully which one I could say is my favourite, and I really struggle because I do love them all. So hopefully you, like me, will fall in love with them. We then have our Clematis Burst. Now this one's a really cool one, really good if you wish to colour in as well, or if you want to stamp through your stencil because the openings are a bit wider. If you're going to emboss it, that also gives you quite a lot of option to blend over them. You use them with all your different inks and mediums like that as well. Just a really fun one. Then if we carry on to our next design, we have our Luscious Lilies. So your 4th in the family so far of our triple stencils, or our trio of stencils. Your Luscious Lilies once again give you the same idea, 3 different sizes, all on a very similar theme, so they're going to work together. So as I mentioned, you can buy each of those sets if you'd just like to pick one, and they should be £6.99, but at Craftmania at the moment they're only £5.94. Now I did mention you could purchase a bundle. At the time that we released these, we also brought out a set of clear stamp sentiments. Now this is an A5 sheet of stamps. There are 19 different designs in here. I'm going to read out just a few of them for you. So you've got Just to Note, You're a Limited Edition, Do More of What Makes You Happy, Celebrate Every Win, No Matter How Small, With You I Am Home, Handmade with Love. That's a really good one for the back of your cards. Really, everyone needs a Handmade with Love stamp at least. With Love, Congrats, Wish You Were Here, Thank You From the Bottom of My Heart, and so they go on. So these are really designed that you can pop them onto the insert of your cards, or the outside, or your scrapbooking, your tags, bits like that. If you've already bought my tea bag folding collection as well, you may notice that the font on these stamps is the same as the sentiments on the tea bag stamps too. So if you haven't got them yet and you want to go and watch that video, we have a video for that collection too. Or if you've already got hold of them, what's quite nice is those words on those stamps tend to be a little bit larger, so you could use those on the outside of your card and these on the inside. Follow it off with the Handmade with Love on the reverse, and it's all going to tie together neatly. Now the stamps are £12.99. They're on offer at the moment at only £11.04. But if you're looking at this and thinking, well, I need the stamps and I need every single one of them sets of stencils, then we have a bundle for you. Now the bundle price for this collection should be £40.95, but you can have all 4 sets of stencils and the stamps, and they are on offer at £32.99. Now, all of the prices I'm giving you at the moment are of course correct at the time of filming, which is March 2022. The video will be lasting much longer than that on YouTube, so do go and check the website out for the up-to-date prices and offers. But at the moment, that's our current prices. Now, if you are shopping within the UK, our P&P is completely free, either if you go for one stencil or the bundle, because it's free any time you spend over £5. If you wish to order internationally, we send anywhere in the world, that's not a problem. Just pop on the website and check out under customer service. There'll be a little tab that says customer service, click that, and under the menu it will talk to you about shipping, and you want to go and have a little look and see how it works for your country, because it does differ a little bit. So go and have a little look at how that all works, but it's not a problem, we'll send anything anywhere. So that's your collection, they're your stencils. Let's show you a few of the ways I like to use them. Then I've got a whole pile of cards I'm going to give you a little flash of, and we'll chat about how they were put together. So, on the boards we see them embossed, didn't we? This is one of my favourite techniques to do with them, especially really intricate stencils like this one. So what I have here is an A4 machine, which I'm going to be working with. I've got a rubber mat in here. I'm just using 2 cutting plates. I'm going to pop my mirror card facing into the stencil with the rubber mat beneath it and the stencil on top. Now what this is going to do is the rubber mat is going to squish the card through the holes on the stencil, and we're going to end up with a lovely embossed panel. So I'm going to pop on my top plate and I'm going to pop these through my machine. So while this is going through here, obviously we could be working on different types of card. It doesn't have to be mirror card. We could of course do some inking first and then emboss. Or we could be embossing this onto vellum or different mediums like that. There really is a lot of options for this ability, and especially when we start looking at how we could emboss and add colour. Options are endless. Take off your top plate, take off your stencil, and you are left with perfect embossing. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, of course, working on mirror card, if we wanted to ink on top of this, we could use a brayer and some stays on ink, bits like that, to really make this pop if you wanted to, or you could colour on it with your alcohol markers or any other mediums and products you have that will stay on mirror card. But it's just one of the ways that I think looks really impressive to work with your stencils, and of course you could do that with any of them, which is how we've got our little demo boards. Now, another thing I quite like to do with these is to bring in different products like my pixie powders and bits like that. So I'm just going to reach for a tray down here, and we're going to bring in a sheet of card, and we're going to pop this up here just roughly on our mat, and we're going to mist over the top of it with a bit of water, and then we're going to turn it over. Now this side we're not going to mist just yet. We're going to take our stencil and we're going to pop it down. Now I've misted the back, so the minute we start adding moisture to the front, the card doesn't start to curl, because anytime we put moisture on both sides of card, we'll find that it will start to curl. So I'm going to use some Pixie Sparkles for this. This one is Sandstone, and I'm just going to tap out over the top of this one. Pixie Sparkles are another one of my products. They're a mica-based, mica and dye-based powder that are water activated. So we're going to tap them across the top here, and then we will mist with water to set them going. There is another video for these on our YouTube channel, which goes into lots of different details on how you can use them. There is also a lovely downloadable sheet on the website as well that gives you loads and loads of different ideas too of what you can be doing with any mica powders. I've also added in red oxide, and this one is Zesty Lime. So we've got a bit of a Christmas scheme going on here actually. We've got red, green and gold. We're then going to take our water and we're going to mist from above, just making sure that we get the areas of our stencil that we want, making sure that that is all activated. Now, if I was doing this and it was for myself and I wasn't trying to film a video, I would leave that to one side and I would let any pools of water dry before I remove the stencil, because at the moment the stencil's acting like the walls that we need so that the powder or the moisture doesn't escape into different areas and we get runs. If we wait for this to dry, that's going to be a really boring video, isn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick it up. But be warned, we might have a bit of leakage. So we're going to take that off and we have our first impression. I actually quite like that, not a problem. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our stencil and we're going to lay this face down onto another piece of card. We're then going to bring in a piece of copier paper. Now this is one of the things I absolutely love, because it's sort of using your stencils as a stamp. So we're going to lay our piece of paper over the top of this, and we're going to bring in a brayer. Now this can be any type of brayer, it doesn't really matter, but we're going to go over the top of it. Now the reason we put the piece of paper here is because it will absorb any ink or any moisture or any water that comes out from around the sides. And instead of going onto the brayer and then us sort of moving it across any areas, the paper will absorb it pretty much. Not always fail safe, but normally absorbs the majority of it, and certainly stops us from getting it on our roller and then rolling it off into other areas. If we look at the paper, we can see all of the moisture this has managed to catch. They're all of the bits that we would have, in theory, moved across and covered in our area. So once we've done this, we can then lift off our stencil and reveal our stamped impression. So it's cost us no more product because the product was already on there from our first impression, but yet we now have 2 items instead of just 1. So it's one way that I really like to use the stencils. So we'll pop them off to one side. So far we've embossed with them, then we've done a bit of inking through them. So talking of inking, we could also be using things like airless misters if we wanted to over the top of them. We could be using our inks, so whether that be our distress inks, our oxide inks, our blending inks, whatever brand, colour clouds, bits like that you wish to be using. Smoothies are brilliant. When I tend to ink over the top of a stencil, I must admit I tend to pounce more than I tend to rub if I'm using a smoothie or a wooden tool, because I find sometimes the ink can get sort of caught up in the areas underneath the stencil, where with more of a pounce action you should find the ink will stay pretty in place. For the next thing I wish to do, I'm going to take a self-adhesive sheet. Now again, these are something you're going to find on the website. I'm going to take off the top layer of it so that we have our sticky piece in hand, and we're going to bring in a piece of white card, and we're going to pop that down anywhere we wish, because we'd be trimming this out if we were doing this for a project. So we're going to pop that down. Now with our self-adhesive sheets, we then have another top layer to remove to get to the sticky. So we're going to come to that in a second. I'm going to leave that off to one side. We're then going to take one of our stencils. So this one's our Clematis stencil, and we're going to lay it face down onto a piece of paper. And I'm going to use an emboss ink pad. Now, to be honest, any clear ink will work fine for this. We're just going to pad over the top of the stencil. Now, what this is going to do is it's basically going to lubricate the stencil. So when we stick it onto the self-adhesive area, it's not going to stick there for life, and it's not going to damage the stencil, because obviously these are very sticky. And if we were to start sticking stencils on them and trying to remove them, we could quite easily damage parts of the stencil. So we're going to bring back our sticky bit. We're going to take off our top layer. We're going to turn this over face down so that our sticky bit is now covered with the stencil with the ink facing down on it. We can then bring in the bit we pulled off the top and give that a good firm rub without sticking to it, making sure that our stencil is where it needs to be and that there's no bits left up in the air. Now I've gone a little off on an angle, but I tend to, and you will notice this, I've done this slightly larger than I would need it to be so I can trim it and square it off if I want to. The sheets of self-adhesive actually come in A4, so if you was really worried about getting it level or being able to trim it to a level area, then of course you could do it on a bigger piece altogether. What we're going to do now is we're going to bring in some glitter. So I'm going to use some sparkle shakers, and this one is Sherbet Pink, and we're going to tap this all the way across the top here. Now I'm using sparkle shakers, which are a really cool ultra fine cosmic shimmer glitter, but you could, if you prefer, you could be using gilding flakes, aurora flakes, all sorts. You'll see this technique done on a couple of my videos because it's one I really like. I'm then going to bring in my applicator sponge and trying not to catch the stencil, I'm just going to brush the glitter across any areas that I need to. I don't want to lift the stencil, I don't want to touch the stencil too much, but we just want to brush this around any areas that need that colour put into them. We're going to work around the side. We're going to do a bit of the border to make sure that the border's nice and matching. We're going to come down there as well. Make sure that side's the same. The applicator sponges, we have these in a set of 6 on the website. They're just a really good way to be able to apply your glitters or your flakes. We're going to tap off the excess. We'll pop that back into the jar later, and we can remove our stencil. Now what we can see is our stencil has masked all of the areas that the stencil was obviously in. So everything else now is still sticky. So we're going to bring in our next colour of glitter, And this one is Silver Rainbow. Again, this is one of our sparkle shakers. Do you know, I always struggle with that. I can never get my S's right. So a sparkle shaker from Cosmic Shimmer. It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Certainly one for my memory to try and keep up with. So we're going to tap this across anyway. These lids that you can see that I'm using at the moment, these do come out. So if you do wish to be a bit more frugal and pop your glitter back inside the jar, that is absolutely fine to do so. It's just quite a nice way to keep control over the amount of glitter you're getting out. So if you do wish to cover an area like this, you don't have to worry about it just sort of coming all out of the jar and being in one place. We're then just going to literally use our applicator to just brush this across onto them exposed sticky areas, and taking away any excess as we go. And then once again we can swipe this off onto a piece of paper and pop it back into the jar at a later date. And we can see then how we have used our stencil as a mask for our glitter techniques. Now these glitters in question are so fine that if you wanted to stamp over the top of them, you could do that. And these are now there, they're there to stay. So a little bit of excess, but they'll stay there ready for you to work with, ready to go onto your card, ready for you to stamp onto if you wanted to. You can even colour over the top of them with items such as alcohol markers and bits like that too. So if you wanted to add more to that, you can. What I usually quite like to do is go for one colour of glitter and one colour of something like a gilding flake or an aurora flake and try and play the two off. That can look really, really good. But it's just a nice idea for you to know that you can do that with your stencils. Another thing we can of course do is bring in our texture paste. So let's see if we can find another stencil here in my pile. And we've got a couple of different types of texture paste here. And we're going to go for a piece of Gold Mirri for this, because I wanted to just share with you really how we can of course use all of our things like our Lunar paste. We've got Lunar paste, we've got Ultra Sparkle paste, we've got glitter paste. At Craftmania the list goes on. There's quite a few of them and they all have their individual purposes and reasons, so do go have a little look at them. This one is a Lunar paste. It's filled full of shards of mica which give us a really cool sparkle finish. So we could certainly be using this, and if we wanted to hook this out, it's quite a nice material. We can literally just take it out using it with one of our spatulas and go over the area in which we wish to cover. That's not a problem. The one I actually wanted to show you today a little bit of, and we're just going to go for an opposite corner, is our clear texture paste, because this one, as it says, is clear. So if we wanted to use this on acetates, that works really well. If we want to use it onto mirror cards, that works really well. If you want to take things like your Pixie Sparkles or Pixie Powders and actually mix them into it and make your own coloured ones, you can do. It's just a really good base medium. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just do this small corner here. This is the Luscious Lily stencil, by the way, so I'm just heading for one flower for speed and time. I'm going to go across that with our stencil bit there. There we go, out to that bit there. I'm going to take the rest of that away, put it back in our pot. And then we're actually going to pull the stencil away, so we can see lovely crisp imagery on both of them parts, ready to work with. So we can just leave that as we want to, if that's the effect we're after. But the bit I wanted to show you more, something I've been working with a little bit, is because this is clear. If we bring in our frosty, what's this one? I've told you, useless for names. Frosted Sparkle glitter bits. Now these are really cool because these are multifaceted size pieces of glitter. So you actually receive 3 different size particles of glitter in the jar. That's what gives it its really cool sparkle. These come in loads of different colours. I've got a few of them on my little shelf up here, but there is, oh I don't know, probably about 30 different colours off the top of my head. But what I wanted is to sprinkle this over the top of my clear texture paste. Now I'm avoiding the Lunar bit because I don't need it to go onto that, and we're going to tap that off onto our sheet once again, and we can take off the excess once it's dry, but it's more I want to show you what we've got to begin with. So at this stage we have this white, very sparkly finish, but when the clear texture paste dries and we are just left with the sparkle, we get a completely different effect. Now I'm going to bring these in. I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to bring these in. This is on acetate. It's the same idea. On acetate, it gives you a frosted glass effect. How cool is that? And all it is our clear texture paste and our frosted sparkle glitter bits over the top of it. and it gives you that really cool frosted effect, which I absolutely love. I think that is gorgeous. Now, of course, you could start putting things behind this if you wanted to, like your Miri cards, like your patterned cards, your papers. You could, of course, this is acetate, bow it for the front of a card. You could die cut into the middle of it and have it as a frame if you wanted to. Lots and lots and lots of options. Or, of course, we can leave it on the Miri, like the bit I just did. This is actually another one of the Luscious Lily stencils. There's a little bit of pink appeared somewhere since I've done this, so ignore the pink bit, but it gives you an idea of how it looks. And obviously any excess bits can just be brushed off if needed. There's another one done onto the acetate with the Clematis stencil. So again, really just fun. I was going to show you turn these into cards to show you, but I actually felt looking at them in this format was a really nice way for you to see them. So it just gives you another idea. So we've got your texture pastes, we've got airless misters, we've got pixie sparkles, we've got embossing, we've got inks obviously. So a couple of little samples to share with you. Airless misters, that's how they're going to be looking for you through them. Lunar pastes when they're dry. This is one that's been done with lunar pastes. This is our sparkle pastes. So these again are the glittery ones to give you an idea. Another glittery one here. And a couple more little samples to share with you. Frosty Sparkle Ultra Sparkle paste. I believe that's the right name. But it's one of our ultra sparkly pastes that's clear. So again, if you wanted to do that and have the nice big chunks of glitter in there, you can. If you wanted to use that on the acetate, which is what I've done here, and then added pixie sparkles over the top of it, they will then come through and you will see that come through in your colouring. So again, when you've added your texture paste onto your acetate, think about adding more to them. Or if you just want a really subtle effect, clear texture based, just done onto a coloured card, just a periwinkle blue coloured card, and you've got that really glossy effect going on from the clear texture paste. They're just a few of the different mediums you can add. Now if we finish by showing you a few of the cards I've created and hopefully giving you a few more ideas. So for these, I've used a whole host of products. So I'm not going to give you a major rundown of them, but we'll give you a little rundown. On this one, we have airless misters in Maya Blue. We've used an old letter stamp, which is one of my absolute favourites. And you'll find that on our website, of course. Everything I'm talking about is on the website. The stamp, if you like that one, is FRS614, if you wish to go and have a look. So I've literally sprayed it with my airless mister, let it dry, removed the stencil, and then stamped over the top in just a light grey. Of course, one of the little verses comes from the stamp set. This one again is done with the Maya Blue airless mister, and then I've heat embossed it 3 times in clear over the top to give it that glazed tile effect. So it just has that bit of shimmer going on there. Then we have this one here. This one has been created using Opal Blaze Gilded Avocado. And then it has been coloured over the top of that with alcohol markers. It's also been clear embossed with embossing powder over the top of that. Again, one of our little sentiments on there of one of our stamps. This one is our Sparkle Texture Paste in Sea Green. And that's our Make Art ink pad in Leaf Green, tying the 2 colours together. But again, seeing how crisp we can get with our amazing sparkle pastes. This one has been done how I show you with the embossing ink pad on top of a self-adhesive sheet, and it's been used with our Frosty Sparkle glitter bits, but all of the colour has come from Pixie Sparkles, which has given a really cool vintage subtle effect, which works really well. We of course have more stamps on there from our stamp set. If you do wish to use all 3 of your stencil sizes on one card, you could of course make little booklets and flick through them with different pieces. The colour on this one is from our Colour Cloud, and that's our Frosted Heather shade. So again, think of your inks, think of all of them different types you're going to be working with. If you like using different mediums, then maybe our metallic gilding polishes are the one for you. Stippling them through on one of the stencils onto black card really sets it off with a silver undertone. You'll see more about these on our metallic gilding polish videos. Or you could use the gold onto white card to give you a slightly different idea. And again, we've got a reveal going on here between the medium-sized stencil and the large-sized stencil. Same again, but on black card instead of white card, because I really think that really makes the colours pop and it's nice to see the different undertones to them. Here's one of our prints, so literally how we printed our stencil earlier after using it this time with some Pixie Sparkles, but printing it with our brayer and removing it so we've got that sort of style of effect. Again with Pixie Sparkles, but this time we've kept with the positive part, not printing it off like the last card I show you. And once again we have that sort of peekaboo effect between the middle size panel and the large panel on the inside. If inks are more of your thing, then this one is done with some distress inks. It's got Wild Honey, Seedless Preserves, Peacock Feathers, Fired Brick, all been used just with smoothies to blend them across on top of the stencil before being removed. This one's a fun one. This one again is our Airless Misters. It's also been used with some Stays On ink to go over the top of them on Niri, and then I've also clear embossed it as well to give it a real shiny effect. Another more vintage one, we're going back to that old letter stamp this time. This one is Pixie Sparkles once again, and it's a little bit of several colours. There's also our banner elements with our stamp sentiments. We've got that old letter stamp going over the top of it. So literally lay your stencil down, Pixie Sparkle over it, lift the stencil off, let it dry, and then stamp your wording over the top of that. Another one of our print ones, because I really do like the print ones, so just show you another version of them. Another one of our Dancing Dandelions, this time again with several colours from our Pixie Sparkles done as a print. And then this one here, this is our Distress Inks, Wild Honey, Peacock Feathers, Seedless Preserves and Fired Brick. Once again, just distressed over it. And this has been embossed in the machine, which is what's given us that indentation. And then I've stamped over the top of all of it with our lovely old letter stamp too. And then our last one, this time we have got some Distress Inks, Wild Honey, Peacock Feathers, Fired Brick, Seedless Preserves, the old letter stamp, and then over the top of that I've added a little bit of Opal Blaze, which is what's giving it that shimmer you might be able to pick up on, just to give you a bit more of an idea. These are just a few of the cards I've created with these stencils. There are so many I could share with you. And if you go onto the website and look at the individual stencils, you will see lots of them pictured on there as well. So just in case you'd like a little run through once more, I'll just show you the stencils and the stamps. So you have your stencil sets. You can buy these, they should be $6.99, but they're on offer at the moment at £5.94. And you've got this one, which is Sunflower Bouquet. We then have your Clematis Burst, Dancing Dandelions, Luscious Lilies, and of course, as I mentioned, all $6.99 individually, on offer at $5.94. Then you've got your stamps, should be $12.99. This is the Just a Note collection, but is on offer at £11.04. Or if you wish to go for all of it, if I've managed to persuade you that you can't live without the whole collection, then you can get hold of that for $32.99. The bundle price should be £40.95. As I mentioned earlier, these prices are right at the time of uploaded the video, so do pop online and have a little look if you've come to it a little bit later on in the day. Thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget you can check out all of that lot on the website, which is www.craftmaniacrafts.com. You can order online or by phone. Phone number is 01493 843 666. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.